Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It is a lovely stormy looking day out here in Houston, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to many of our hearts, and that is Scat Pack versus Hellcat. Which is better for what, depending on what you want to do, cost, performance. There's a lot of factors and we're going to be discussing a lot of them, so let's get started. Okay, first off, in a previous video I went over the details, and I'll link to that video below, that a Hellcat costs, at least in the Charger variant, about $25,000 more than a Scat Pack. Now that $25,000 can go up or down a little bit depending on if one's used versus new, both used, both new. It all remains to be about the same $25,000 unless you do something like totally unfair, like compare a used Scat Pack to a new Hellcat or a new Scat Pack to a used Hellcat. But new to new, used to used, it's about 25 grand. And so that's the cost that we're going to be looking at. So we're going to hold it at that. If anyone wants to debate that number, you can look at the previous video, and if you disagree with my numbers, then we can discuss. So the important part is, right now at this moment I have spent approximately $25,000 on my Scat Pack here. With that $25,000 I've hit a very important milestone. I've spent about the same money as a Hellcat would cost. So the big question now is, would I rather have this car over a Hellcat? Before I spend any more money on this car, at this point it's been about 25 grand, and I'll go over where all that 25 grand was spent. But so for that 25,000, I'm at about $65,000-$70,000 that I have spent on the car, which is approximately what I would have paid if I would have bought a Hellcat. Now I would have bought a new Hellcat because I bought the new Scat Pack, so we're gonna keep that $25,000 consistent. So where would a Hellcat get me for that 25 grand? It'd get me a warranty, which would be awesome, and it would get me 707 horsepower. I wouldn't have adaptive cruise control, which is a big deal to me. It's not a lot to some, I know. I would have the bigger brakes. I would have an HP 90 transmission, which I don't right now, but I would have a lot less power, a lot weaker of an engine, and a lot smaller of a fuel system. Guess that's about it. So as this car sits right here, it makes around 850 horsepower, which is more than even a Demon or a Red Eye, whatever. That's on pump gas. This car ran an 11.1 at 126 or something like that on these all-season tires, just in full street trim, and with like no good DA or anything like that. So the car's got power. It's definitely faster than a Hellcat. If anyone doesn't believe that a car with 150 more horsepower can't easily beat a Hellcat, it would. And if anyone doubts that, you can feel free to come race me in a stock Hellcat. We all know it would get drugged, which is fine because this is a highly modified Scat Pack. It's not a Hellcat, but I've spent the same amount of money as a Hellcat. So that makes you question where the value is. So did I get a good value for what I have? I have more power than a Hellcat, more reliable. I would say no. If you're talking about a Hellcat with a warranty, I would definitely be a no. But if you're talking about a modified Hellcat, then that now brings up an entirely different story. Now, if someone wants to race me with a modified Hellcat, yeah, I believe just a minor bolt-on Hellcat could easily beat me or give me a good run or whatever. But the point is that costs money over a Hellcat, and then on top of that, there goes your warranty, and you're still paying higher insurance premiums and all those other negatives that come with the Hellcat. So I think at the end of the day, it's to each his own. And in the way I look at it, if you want to go fast, if you want to have a fast car and you just want to keep it stock, Hellcat all the way. Get a Hellcat, keep it stock. If you want to just make it a tiny bit faster where it's not likely to break, if it does, maybe you'll get the warranty coverage, maybe you won't, but you're willing to risk that. Hellcat's great there too. Probably wouldn't break. Pretty reliable car. They do break even sometimes unmodified, so keep that in mind. Anything can break. But if you want to go fast. Like if you're going to build the motor, if you're going to build the trans, if you're going to build the fuel system, the blower, these are all parts that the Hellcat has, but you also pay for them. So if you're going to build the engine anyway, why not get a car that has a lesser engine that you're going to build anyway? And it's also a 392. It's a larger motor, so build it, and then you'll be able to even make more power than a Hellcat. Get your own blower. You can get, there's all sorts of different blowers you can get. Upgrade the fuel system. The Hellcat's fuel system needs to be upgraded eventually anyway. Like it's not quite as black and white where everybody acts like the Hellcat. You start with this such a powerful car, which you do, but the Scat Pack is no slouch, and on top of that, the Scat Pack is cheaper. So by the time you spent as much money as a Hellcat, even a stock Hellcat, you have an absolute beast. And if you don't believe me, check this out. So this is my 2017 Scat Pack for those of you who are new to the channel, and it has, like I said, about 850 horsepower. It has a 426 cubic inch built motor from Arlington Performance, a 4 Innovations fuel system, triple pump, supports like 1600 horsepower. Let's see what else. It's got a blower, heads, ported heads, cam, as you heard. Lots of good stuff. I'll go over all the costs and everything right now, because again, the topic of this video is what can you get for the equivalent price of a Hellcat, and this is what you can do right here. There's some disadvantages of that are glowingly obvious, like you have to put a lot of cash up front. You have a highly modified vehicle. You wouldn't need to have it as aggressive as this, but this is just what I chose to go with. It wouldn't need to be this crazy, and depending on how you spent your money and what your ultimate goals were, it wouldn't need to be this expensive either. But this is just an example of what can be done for the equivalent price of a Hellcat. So these are the mods I've performed on the car in general order, because I just went through my videos, and so let's take a look. First thing was the muffler delete down in there, and that was about 70 bucks. New wheels and tires. Now I initially had the Hellcat wheels and tires, and I switched them out, which cost the same price. So I'm not, and they're somewhere in here, they're right there. So I'm not counting like the additional wheel price, but these were $2,000 for the wheels and tires, all 4 corners, which I made up, like, I don't know, I think I sold them for 800 bucks. So I guess I can call these $1,200. Yeah, my math's a little screwed up now, I didn't think about that. Anyway, we'll just call it $2,000 for those. My wicker bill, which, you know, this is a cosmetic thing. This is the same thing with the wheels. That's not necessarily something you would need, but the Hellcat does come with better wheels and tires. But keep in mind, these are 315s, so these are even bigger than you get with the Hellcat, or even with the wide body. 315s in the back on 10.5 inch rims, 20 by 10 in the back, and 20 by 9.5 in the front. So the first mod I did to the car was the Pro Charger. And that included the Pro Charger, upgraded fuel pump, just the base, a stock upgraded type, a stock style pump upgraded. Injectors, blower, everything installed. Gauges, I have a couple gauges. I have this gauge pod up here I'm not sure if you can even see it, but I got a gauge pot up there. It included that, the wiring for all that, and of course the big intercooler. A lot of good stuff. I think that was pretty much it, and that cost about 10 grand. Now, obviously, like I said, I put an even larger fuel system in the car, and I'm going to eventually change out the blower as well. And I got the engine rebuilt. So if I would have gotten this done at the same time as like I built the engine, like I would put a blower on there too, the cost would be much, much lower. So that's something to keep in mind, that I did this in the dummy steps way, which, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but that wasn't what the plan was when I started it. So it is what it is. Often happens. And also for the car, I have a taser, which of course is just a little thing to unlock the SRT performance pages. Mid pipes for the car, and then I also got it retuned by Pipes at one point, and that was $1,500. Then the big mod session the last thing that I really did to the car, and that where it got all its power from essentially, is I put a 426 in here with heads, ported stock heads, custom cam, Ford 426 from Arlington Performance, 4 Innovations, 1800 horsepower or 1600 horsepower triple pump fuel system that can, so it'll supply all the fuel I ever need. If I want to go ethanol, whatever I want to do, it'll flow enough for, you know, just about any power level that's realistic. And yeah, that's it. So that sums it up there. Now if you total that money out, which the numbers were kind of all over the place, it equals right around the $30,000 range, which again, I paid some additional redundant costs. I got the car tuned twice, stuff like that. Depending on what your ultimate goals were, like if you knew what your goals were in the beginning, you would have spent about 25 grand. So you can call me a liar or not, but I think that is a fair deal. But it is one of the pitfalls of modifying a car. But if you modify your Hellcat, you'd run into the same thing. So anyway, the whole point of this video, and just what I want to show, is a Hellcat isn't the only way to go fast. If you can, honestly, in my opinion, if you want to go fast, get a Hellcat, great. If you want to go really fast, get a Scat Pack, because at the end of the day, you're going to have lower insurance. The car is going to lower insurance. You're going to pay less for the car. It's essentially the same car. The interiors are the same. It's not any nicer. If you want the bigger brakes, you can get the bigger brakes. If you want, I think you can even get the adaptive suspension if you wanted. You can get everything you can get on a Hellcat, minus the engine and the blower and the trans and all that, which you can just switch out yourself and save a bundle of money and make a car that's even faster than the Hellcat was. You know, if you want a warranty, then for sure get the Hellcat. If you're not going to modify it, Hellcat, you can't beat it. But I knew I was going to modify it, so why would I get a Hellcat and spend way more money when I'm just going to change out a lot of the stuff anyway, which I would have. Anyway, that's going to be this video. I got some more mods coming for the car. Like I said, I'm going to be switching out the blower and putting in the HP90 transmission. That's the only weak point in this car right now, is this has a stock HP70 transmission. It's been fine, honestly. The transmission hasn't had any problems, so I don't know if I would call that, I don't know what I would call that, but it is the weakest point. The only real thing you have to worry about. Everything else is well suited for the power. So, anyway, that's it for now. Be sure to like and subscribe. Peace.
Black leather on his ass, keep a hustler heated. Weed is engaged in the pavement. Rubber escorts like I'm seeking arrangement. Push the gas, escalate the gauges, escalate hits on the cam girls' pages, blazes, and hit 'em with a script full of sexy